Mendigitalkan produk keuangan seperti produk bank atau asuransi misalnya, sekarang ini bukan lagi sebuah pilihan tapi sebuah keharusan. Dan bukan sekedar perkara menghadirkan teknologi yang canggih, tapi juga bagaimana soal kepercayaan. Bagaimana bank misalnya meraih kepercayaan nasabah dan bagaimana misalnya bank mempercayakan sistem keuangan mereka untuk dikembangkan oleh para ahli-ahli teknologi. Nah, ini adalah salah satu poin yang muncul dari sejumlah cerita sukses yang diceritakan oleh bank-bank besar yang berhasil mendigitalkan produk keuangan mereka dalam Asian Financial Service Congress 2017 yang diadakan oleh International Data Corporation. Tapi apakah bank di negara dengan penduduk yang sangat beragam dan masih banyak yang tradisional seperti Indonesia sudah sangat perlu dalam mendigitalkan produk keuangan mereka? Nah, berikut kutipan wawancara saya dengan Cyrus Daruwala dari IDC dan juga Michael Goris dari Standard Chartered.
IDC have mentioned about digital transformation for the whole year.
Right.
But I would like to take this into the Indonesian market first. A very diverse market with a huge population of traditional society.
Correct.
How urgent for Indonesia Bank to digitizing their services?
Okay, good question. Yes, Indonesia, a very large, what you call archipelago, thousands of islands, 300 million people spread across. If you look at the case study for Africa and a small little digital player called M-Pesa, M-Pesa is not tied to a bank, it's a mobile payment service. That's the kind of digitalization and payment requirement Indonesia needs. So it's not incumbent upon banks only. I think the customers and the consumers, they have now started demanding. You are able to top up your mobile card in almost every lane in Jakarta, including tea shops and stalls. Why can't some sort of banking or some sort of payment be embedded in there?
From your previous stories in developing digital services, are there any strong correlation between going digital in the banking service and the bank's profitability?
Well, let me put it that way. 50 years ago, the computers were introduced to the banks. And what we did by and large, and every bank did it the same way, we took the manual processes into computers. But this was mainly, the ledger, the books. They were taken from paper into computers. But in essence, it was still the same process, the same thing of banking. This had a huge impact on profitability. So banks are much more profitable these days than they were 50 years ago. But now we have to take the second step, and which is the true digital age, which means everything from front to end is digital. All the transactions are entered at the device of the customer, and they end up straight through in the TP systems without any manual intervention. If you go to that point, then there is an indefinite scale, and we will have a good offering for the high populous countries.
Yes, Cyrus, you have something to add about correlation between going digital?
I completely agree with Michael. You see, the correlation between how much you spend versus how much you make, what we call the net interest margin, has always been a leading indicator. What ends up happening is that for you to cater, for example, if you've got 100 million clients, say hypothetically you're Mandiri or BCA or BNI or Danamon, and you've got 100 million customers. They're not all 100 million active customers. Some just do basic deposits and withdrawals, some go to the ATM, some go passbook upgrade, and then there's a small segment that's using you for home loans and car loans, a very affluent segment. So banks have now got to figure out what channel for which segment and then create the profitability behind each channel or each offering. So it's not a broad brush, let's go digital. Well, there may not be a take-up. On the other hand, if you look at the Stanchart example, what they've done very beautifully and orchestrated is for the SME segment. It's one person. But this person is also a business owner. She or he has a stall. They have a bank requirement. They have receivables. They have payables. So this straight to bank, what Standard Chartered came up with, redeems them of building all of this technology capability. They are a small merchant. They don't know technology. The bank manages all of that. True mobility, as he said, in the palm of your hands. Collect payment, receive payment, look at my balance, look at my update, click here for a loan. So yeah, that's happening now, and the requirement is more visible in Indonesia, again, because of the sheer population.
Okay, so my last question for both of you. In order to succeed in going digital, what must be done first? Is mobile banking is enough, or there are more significant things?
I mean, there are a couple of things. First of all, it's the mindset of the banks. We have to trim down the product portfolio and actually shape it to the needs of the high populous countries. Second is, we also need the collaboration with the regulators. Because if we all, for example, establish something like digital signatures or digital authentication, this will have a huge impact and actually can bring the cost of banking down, which in turn makes it available to a much broader audience. So India has led the way with Aadhaar, the digital signature or the digital signature schema, and I hope that Indonesia will go the same way, because that will enable banking for the broader population.
Cyrus?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Indonesia, in my observation, we've been there for a very long time, and Indonesia needs to be top-down. I mean, the same way in which Michael and his peers in business, operations, and technology decided we need to change, and the change happened. Many a times the question that we get out of Indonesian banks, even the big banks or state-owned banks, why do we need to do this? Will there be enough payback and payment behind it? So I think that mindset needs to change. It's not a choice, it has to happen. If you don't, A doesn't, B comes in, B doesn't, C comes in. That's one. And the more important part is, if the market is ready, and if the bank doesn't, OJK and Bank Indonesia collectively will give a non-bank financial institution license to a third party, and this person, something like a WeBank or an Ant Financial.
Asian Financial Service Congress 2017 menghadirkan ratusan pelaku sektor keuangan dan ratusan pelaku sektor teknologi yang memang akhir-akhir ini menggabungkan kekuatan mereka menjadi sebuah produk bernama Financial Technology alias Fintech, dan acara ini diadakan di Marina Bay Sands, Singapura sampai dengan Jumat malam nanti. Dari Singapura, saya Bima Marzuki dan Ricky Sultana untuk Kompas TV.